Arsenal seem to have an illness, and it's called Trophy-19, and they cannot come within 2 metre distance of any sort of trophy. And this sickness is plaguing the Arsenal team, and it is said that patient zero was none other than Mikel Arteta. Whenever the Arsenal team come within a touching distance away from a trophy, they seem to come down with the shakes. Now, at first, people thought it was because they were bottled in it, they were bottle jobs. Now, with further investigation, it now turns out it could be a serious illness being dubbed Trophy-19. The only way you can contract it is if Mikel Arteta has been in contact with you when he was a manager. So Man City players, Man City staff, you were safe while he was assistant manager, but as soon as he turned manager, he contracted this illness of Trophy. Arsenal started off the new year in terrible form. They are going to need a miracle from the footballing gods if they are going to overturn a 2-0 deficit against Newcastle at St James's Park, where they can't hit a barn door at that place at the moment, and qualify for the Carabao Cup. So that's one cup they're looking like they're exiting from already. They got too close to the sun and they got burnt. Too close to a trophy and they got ill. On Sunday, they've got Man United in the FA Cup third round. Yep, whilst teams like Liverpool were getting drawn at home to Accrington, Spurs got drawn against Tamworth, and Man City got drawn in a big derby against Salford. Arsenal got drawn against Manchester United. The last kind of game Arsenal needed right now was a game like that against Man United, a massive FA Cup tie. They welcome Man United to the Emirates right now like I welcome a kick to the balls. Come Sunday afternoon, Arsenal could be out of another cup, putting Mikel Arteta right on the shitter and putting Arsenal in a position at the end of the season where the only thing silver at the Emirates Stadium is the flushers on the toilet. I thought dry January was for when you kick booze for a month, but it turns out dry January for Arsenal is a time for where you potentially go dry on all trophies. So if Arsenal get knocked out of the FA Cup on Sunday afternoon, they then welcome Spurs and Aston Villa to the Emirates Stadium. And if they don't pick up 6 points in both them games, then that could be the final nail in their Premier League coffin. And not even Beatrix the Bride Kiddo herself could 1-inch punch her way out of this coffin. So come the end of January, I've got more chance of building a time machine, going back in the past and stop Mikel Arteta from getting his coaching badges than Mikel Arteta has got of winning an actual trophy for Arsenal. Okay, he won an FA Cup trophy 5 odd years ago, but I've forgotten about that, like I've forgotten about my first shag. Yeah, at the time both things were really good, best thing since sliced bread. Mikel Arteta winning an FA Cup and my first shag. But I look back now and I think, nah, it's nothing to write home about, was it? So, potentially, we could be out of the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup and the Premier League, which leaves that little trophy that we have never won in our history, the Champions League. And I've got more chance of growing my hair back without going Turkey than Arsenal have got of winning the Premier League under Mikel Arteta. And coincidentally, the last time I had hair was in 2006 when Arsenal reached their last Champions League final. My hair loss has coincided with the Arsenal demise. Look, I'd love to see Arsenal win the Champions League this season, but we can't put all our eggs into that basket. Come the quarter-finals of the Champions League, there'll be an omelette at the bottom of that basket, mate. And let's be real, the last time we got to a European Cup final, I still had hair, woke didn't exist, and the closest thing to AI was Skynet from Judgment Day in Terminator. And the last time we actually won a European Cup final, we weren't even a Champions League, it was something called a Cup Winners' Cup, which doesn't even exist no more. I did have hair on my head, but I didn't have hair on my nuts because I was 7 years old. Look, all jokes aside, the next 3 games for Arsenal were so important. The FA Cup tie against Man United and the 2 back-to-back home games against Spurs and Villa are vitally important. They make or break our season. We could end up at the end of January fighting just for the Champions League, and like I said, that's raring and rocking horse shit for us to win a European competition. Even with great managers like Arsene Wenger, he couldn't win us a European competition. What chance has Mikel Arteta got? So if Arsenal do not win their next 3 games, where does that leave Mikel Arteta? You're already hearing of little ruckuses happening at the Emirates Stadium, and it is quite annoying because the hard work to change the football club, to change the culture, you know, that whole North London forever, they're singing out of the stadium, to now fighting at the stadium. The Arteta-ins versus the Arteta-outs, they're clashing already. And listen, I've seen progress under Mikel Arteta. It was a shit show before Mikel Arteta. In these last 2 seasons, what he's done for the club, we haven't seen in a long time. I don't care if you liked Emre, you didn't see that under Emre. I know he spent a lot of money, Arteta, but the last 2 seasons, we were fighting for that Premier League as hard as I've seen since the early Wenger days when we were fighting against Man United. When we first heard about the process, the project, it sounded good at the time. In the last couple of seasons, it started to come together. But this season, it's sort of flatlined. And where do you say enough is enough? At the end of the day, he's gone from picking up cones for Pep Guardiola to managing Arsenal Football Club. One thing that is as clear as day is Arteta doesn't look like he's the man to get Arsenal over the line and get us back to where we were under the early Wenger days, winning Premier Leagues, winning FA Cups, competing in the European competitions, maybe not winning it but competing. So where do you draw the line now? That's why these next 3 games, Man United in the FA Cup and the back-to-back home games against Spurs and Villa, are so important, not just for Mikel Arteta but for Arsenal Football Club. If you like this video, hit up the like button like Mikel Arteta hitting up walls at the moment, and subscribe to Sports Almanac.